This is TWiT.
You guys put up on PCPer.com part 3 of the ultimate cord cutting guide. What's happening in that one?
Yes, so this is kind of the conclusionary statement segment. I don't know what you want to call it. So basically, this is kind of what happened after we used it for a while. We did discover a couple of quirks. One of the things that we wanted to do with this, we're using a shield. We're using we were going to use antenna base for OTA. Plex had integrated OTA live TV support with DVR capability that they've had in there for a while. And one of the kind of the quirks we found was that the live TV stuff worked almost great on Plex. It had like little stutters, little hitches, little pauses in it that oddly only showed up when you were watching this show live, not if you recorded it and then watched it back. And it was very repeatable, kind of a very consistent thing for us. And we tried it on a local network. We tried it on remote networks. Even more odd, the reason we know it was a Plex issue is that you can access the HD home run, which is the device we were using to convert the antenna into a network interface thing that the different software and hardware could use. You could access that remotely, just like through Windows, and watch a stream, and it did not exhibit the same kind of small stutters. It was almost watchable, but wasn't perfect. The solution for me was, or for us rather, was kind of to adopt one of the over-the-top streaming services like YouTube TV or View or DirecTV Now, and we decided on YouTube TV. It had the best integration with the Shield TV and Android TV. It was the lowest cost at $35. It didn't have quite as many channels as the TV that I had been using previously, but it's pretty close, and it had all the locals, and that was kind of the key to us, right? Is if we weren't going to use the Plex Live TV for watching our local channel, CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, we needed to have one of the services that definitely had all those, and that's been a problem with the over-the-top services for a little while, is sometimes the locals weren't included. That being said, everything else from that point kind of worked pretty fluidly and pretty easily. We talked about, the story talks about the bandwidth increases at our house, which is, I don't work from the house, so our bandwidth consumption is generally pretty low. Previously it was about 200 gigs per month that we use, but after moving over to the over-the-top stuff and all streaming cord cutting, we're over almost 550 gigs per month. So not a problem for us. Our provider doesn't even have a bandwidth cap, but I know that in some places they do. You guys have like a 1 terabyte cap on Comcast, right? So
I used to. I am no longer on Comcast.
Okay, good. But it's something worth keeping in mind if you do this, right? If you look at your monitoring and you're already kind of like in the 700, 800 range, it's going to be a struggle for you. And keeping in mind that 550 is without, like I said, I'm not downloading games there. All the games and stuff that we download are at the office. We're not doing a bunch of stuff. My kid's not old enough to be downloading a bunch of content as she goes, right? She's not on YouTube 24 hours a day or anything like that. So the bandwidth limit is real and could be a concern if you have to worry about a cap. And we go into the cost savings. I was paying just over $110 a month, and now you're looking at $40, so you're saving $70 to $80 a month. Obviously, you have to amortize that over the cost of the devices that we bought for this experiment: the Shield TV, the external hard drive, the HD home run, the antenna, that type of stuff. But at the end of it, not only do you have a physical item that you've kind of, if you think about it that way, you've paid off over 10 months of cord cutting, you have a lot more of additional functionality too, right? The Plex is offering stuff that you couldn't have gotten otherwise, that you can't do otherwise. You have the ability to watch TV in any area, on any device with YouTube TV, or almost, right? So you have a lot more capability and flexibility than you would with kind of a legacy TV solution. I was replacing Cincinnati Bell Optics TV service, cable companies of a similar vein. So I think the kind of conclusion we came to is that, hey, guess what? Still not perfect, but a lot closer now that the over-the-top solutions like YouTube TV, PlayStation View have local channels and are pretty good. There's still nothing quite as good as the image quality you get with antenna-based over-the-air HD signals.
Or Blu-rays.
Yeah, true. But like watching NBC Sunday Night Football on the antenna versus watching it through YouTube TV, there's a significant, I don't say significant, there's a noticeable picture quality difference.
Absolutely.
That will bother some people, and most people just won't care, right? But for me, it was like, okay, what I really want is Plex to get its OTA stuff working so that I can use kind of essentially one homogenized application for all of this. Just get those little bugs figured out, which we have started engaging with them on now after they read the story. So we'll see if they can come up with any solutions to our particular situation that may apply to others. But a good experiment. You're saving money. $70 a month is not chump change, but it's also not going to light the world on fire. So you have to weigh the value of that $70 versus the frustration / complication of going the cord cutting route.
As somebody who cut the cord a long time ago, was cordless, around the time when the first Apple TV came out, then around the beginnings of Game of Thrones, had satellite TV for a couple of years, then basically went back to doing everything online again. And a lot of it's about changing your viewing habits. And for me, I started having a lot more quality viewing because I wasn't like, click, 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 let's just search through 473 channels. Although statistically, most people do like 90% of their viewing on 4 channels, and the majority of their browsing across, I think last numbers I saw for about 24 channels people average. The average person with like 500 channels of cable, does most of their viewing on four channels. And I found I was wasting a lot less time, but I will say, as somebody who has, I've got a nice 1080p projector, I've got a nice screen, and it is really frustrating because, one, as the content gets spread out more and more, it's something we've talked about a bunch on AVXL, right? Disney's going to pull their stuff and the Marvel stuff and the Star Wars stuff over here, and Netflix is doing their content over here, and somebody's got an exclusive there, and maybe you want to do HBO Go for this. You start incrementally boosting the amount of cash you're spending. And I'm nowhere near the outrageous amount Comcast was charging for cable television here in the Bay Area, but I'm probably spending twice as much now as I was 5 years ago on streaming content. And it's been frustrating because despite the fact that I have a pretty massive pipe coming into my house, it is noticeable the compression that's used, especially when I'm watching action films or stuff with a lot of dark. You start becoming abundantly aware of the huge difference between a Blu-ray and a streaming version of a movie. And that's been really frustrating, and it's been curious, I will call it, for lack of a better word, to see what happens with image quality. Because at this point, I've used a couple different ISPs and a bunch of different platforms, and I don't know. Welcome to the cord cutting world, sir. It was an advantage for me because I was like watching no local television and no sports, and that's about as easy a transition as you can get. Although I will say, Major League Baseball is spectacular on the streaming world or on
the streaming service. Yeah, agreed.
Oh my goodness. Agreed. Yeah. That is the foundation for everything that Disney has done and will be doing in terms of streaming all of their content, and it is pretty amazing.